Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies. And I guess it really wouldn't be fair to say it's Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies. This is actually how would I put this? This would be a special episode or a unique episode and only episode of Cody and Rob tier rank a bunch of movies. And looks, we already got somebody in the chat. Ahmed from our man in Kuwait City, Jelly Duck. Good to see you, man. So yeah, let's get to it. I should bring my special super duper co-host, and that is
What's up?
Cody from the Brockopp Side.
How's it going?
Pretty darn good, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got a new office chair, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, you were saying earlier. Oh, and we've got K-Tube Reacts.
Oh, nice.
Which, hey, the system does work, Cody. He is from, or he, she, they, K-Tube is from your channel.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I recognize you from TikTok a little bit. Glad you can make it.
Very cool. All right. Well, I guess that's kind of our QA to get the machine going.
Absolutely.
And so, folks, just so you know, what we're going to do is both Cody and I, separate from each other, have tier ranked every video or every live action movie, and we're going to do it in reverse theatrical release order. Can you think of a better way to explain that, Cody?
So yeah, we're not going to go in the order of chronological. It's not 1 through 9. We're not going to go from release order from like episode 4 to prequel to sequel.
Yeah.
We're going to start with the newest movie, which is episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, and work our way backwards. So we'll go Solo, Last Jedi, Rogue One, so on and so forth. Just to keep things interesting, because the opinions might get mildly more positive as we go that way, so it might work out that way. So.
Perhaps. I also think a special note, we are not doing any of the television specials. It must have a theatrical release. Not that I have anything against those wonderful Christmas specials with the Ewoks, etc. back in the day, but alas, we're not doing those.
And no love for the Disney Plus shows here, but also, still representing them shows in the back, so Din Djarin for life.
And you know what? As we are on the eve of the Obi-Wan release, like coming out in like hours, I think maybe this is the perfect time to do the movies. And once Obi-Wan's happened and Andor in the August, and what's happening so it's Andor in August, maybe 6 months from now, we reconvene and we do a tier ranking of the series, the multiple series
maybe after,
we've seen.
Yeah, maybe after Mando season 3 finishes up.
There's an idea.
Which has been announced for February, so there you go.
Okay, so a year from now, give or take.
And Christmas ain't going to be the same this year.
I'm sure we can figure something to do at Christmas. All right. Well, then, let's get the ball rolling. We are going to be... Cody, you cool with kicking us off?
Sure, yeah.
All right, let's get that. Let's get yours on the big screen. Of course, we are going to be, our very first one is, the most recent film, Rise of Skywalker. And I'm really sorry, it looks like I've totally screwed the pooch here.
Everyone close your eyes, no peeking, no peeking.
No peeking, no rewinding.
No,
I'll edit that out later. All right. My bad.
I wonder what the first one's going to be.
It's hard to say.
Who knows?
Okay. All right. Cody, which did you, shock of shocks, which did you pick? What tier did you put The Rise of Skywalker on?
Well, I guess before we go into that, might as well just explain the tier ranking real quick.
Oh, yes.
So this goes into your essential like A through F tier category, but that's not good enough for Star Wars. So this is all various meme levels of Star Wars isms. So bottom of the list we've got Disturbance in the Force. Then above that is sand. It's coarse, rough, and irritating, and I guess everywhere. On top, then in the mid category, we've got the purple lightsaber. Then above that, we've got You Underestimate My Power, and then the best of the best, the high ground. So,
Which film does have the high ground?
or films, you never know. So,
You're absolutely right. The Cody, I did want to comment. Even as I was doing this, there was one, and this discussed later in more detail. But there was a couple where I'm like, if we had one more tier, and of course it dawned on me, like we could have used it on, I think, above and below our baseline, the purple lightsaber, that divider, and of course, I was thinking, swear to God, I was like, oh, we could have had. Now that's pod racing. Why? And then, of course, my favorite, no disintegrations. All right.
there's always
Cody,
next time.
there's always You're absolutely right. Again, Cody, what did you select for? What tier did you put the Rise of Skywalker?
Oh, The Rise of Skywalker. The movie that was meant to be the grand epic finale of the Skywalker saga, 40 plus years of movies, potentially doing some sort of course correction from Last Jedi, even though I don't think there was debatably a whole lot of course to correct, but that's a topic for a little while from now. However, the movie was extremely rushed in every category, trying to do too many things, not having enough satisfying wrap-ups, conclusions, and it is just quite frankly a very frustrating movie. So unfortunately, I put it in the Disturbance in the Force tier.
Alrighty. Well, let's move that forward then. And oh my goodness, there we are in the. There is a disturbance. I felt a disturbance in the Force. Okay. For myself, well, let's quickly let's go to the chat quickly. We do have a comment in the chat already on this subject.
Oh no.
Of course, it's not showing up in the screen because I took it off because I'm a big dummy. But I can show it right on the screen. KTube Reacts said he thought the Rise of Skywalker was good.
I don't. Oh, sorry. What?
Oh, well, how would you? Any response to that or?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't hate the Rise of Skywalker. So don't get me wrong. There are things about it I do enjoy. Like generally speaking, it's fine, but the epic finale of 40 years of Star Wars should be just fine.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where I feel like every time I think about it, I'm like, it just goes down a hair. But I gave it a kind of fairly positive review when it first came out. So I'm not saying because I thought that way you shouldn't. So we're all entitled to our own opinions because
Yep.
that's what makes these talks interesting. So
Yeah. Well, you know what? Why don't we? I'll throw mine on here. Let's see. This is my tier my tier list, and this is how I felt about the Rise of Skywalker. I also
what?
and you know what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. We all come to these things with a different idea of how these should play out, right? But for me, and no disrespect for somebody who felt like it should be somewhere else. I really did. This was the first. Well, we bring all our prior experiences, right? And I had stuck with Star Wars through 4, the prequel series, these sequels, let's say, and this is the first one where I did not see it when it was first run. Me and Jim, my Sunday night
Really?
co-host, we saw it only because there was nothing else to watch. It was one of those, I had no plans on seeing it in the theater, and it was like, hey, you want to go catch a movie? Sure, yeah, let's go. Yeah, we'll meet at X. What do you want to see? I don't know. I guess we could
Star
see
Wars.
Star Wars. This is the way I felt, right? And this is where I was coming from, man. And yeah, I was just really like, I, like my patience had worn completely through. And I did felt like it's like, wow, this is a lot of fan service,
Yeah.
which I personally drives me crazy. So that's where I was coming from. And again,
Yeah.
no disrespect on anyone, but it is kind of entertaining that you and I agreed, at least on this first one, although it sounds like we were, sorry, my friend.
Oh, good. Yeah.
A
I
phone
mean,
call.
I just,
I had a call.
I kind of
But
just
for
feel
different
bad.
reasons. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah. No, no, go
I
ahead.
feel. Yeah. Sorry. I just feel bad for this movie in general because it just had way too much on its shoulders, being this finale of not one trilogy but three trilogies, and then trying to wrap up the current storylines and bringing in trying to bring back Palpatine and make him like the overarching villain of everything, even though debatably that's another thing. It's like it's one of those things with the movie where it's like if it was set up way sooner, it'd been more acceptable. Say, like if it was a twist at the end of Last Jedi saying, "Oops, the Emperor made Snoke all along. He's coming back. Get ready." But
Yeah.
this one's like, "Hey guys, I'm back.
Yeah.
Star Wars."
Yeah. And you know what? I'll save my comments regarding The Last Jedi because some of my feeling on this film is because of the way I felt about that film. KTube does comment. He says, same story kind of with me. And yeah, I think, like, again, this is one of the great things about rankings. While you may feel okay about a film, then other films come up and you're like, now that was way different.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for chiming in there, K2. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's. What's the next flick on our list? I do believe.
I think it might be one of those. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Solo, a
Solo.
Star Wars story.
Yeah, let's.
The
Let me
movie
make
that
sure.
kind of killed the spin-offs for a while there.
It did, didn't it? Like
But was it
really did a
justifiably so?
job
Let's
on
find
it.
out.
Really did a job on it. It's like, wow, well, that's impressive. Now that's impressive. Alrighty, yeah, let's bring that up. Let's get some of this nonsense off, just to make a little bit of space. And yeah, Cody, what did you choose?
Well, for Solo, oddly enough, this was almost a similar story to what you were saying with Rise of Skywalker, saying you kind of just skipped it for the longest time, then finally decided to go check it out. Same thing with me, like, when the movie was first announced, I was like, oh, okay, a Han Solo prequel movie. Okay, because, Phil Lord and Chris Miller were attached at the time, so I was like, alright, this sounds promising. And then just all the behind the scenes nonsense started coming out, and it all just started to look like one big disaster. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna skip this one. I did for like a month or so, and then
Yeah,
finally decided to check it out, and I was like, okay, maybe I was a little quick to judge it,
yeah,
because even though I think this movie is far from perfect, I've really come into the movie a little bit better over the last few years, thinking, there's some good DNA in there, like with the casting, with Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo and Donald Glover as Lando. Just that was incredible casting, and some of the connective tissue to the other movies, and so I think there's a decent amount going for this movie, but also it kind of over prequelizes too many things. Like, do we really need to know why Han Solo's last name is Solo, or how he got his blaster, or how he decided to call himself Chewie, and like, why did the Falcon look different and like apparently look different? I don't know.
That's a great
So
point. Are you going to answer the question though?
yeah, I was just trying to lead into it to keep some suspense going. All right. All right, so I'm gonna put Solo in the purple lightsaber tier. Pretty middle
All
ground.
right.
Don't love it. Don't hate it.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh,
Anyway,
stuff's dropping. Stuff's falling. Stuff's getting out of hand. It's one of the things you said there really rang true to me in like my experience of this film, which was just that kind of, or maybe yeah, it speaks to my experience. I don't believe I thought it when I saw it. I thought it was okay. I agree with you about Donald Glover, but I like the way you put it. It's answering every question. When we did our chat on Sunday, and by the way, folks, if you go into the description below, you will find a link to the Sunday live stream. Myself, my co host Jim, and of course Cody as a guest did on whether or not Star Wars holds up. But if you look at the original film, how many lines just happen without explanation. So it implies this bigger world. Here, it's like, oh, we're going to explain everything, and it's like I'm okay with a little
yeah.
mystery.
I mean, I like seeing Han and Chewie meet because I think that's like the beginning of a beautiful friendship. But it's like,
oh yeah,
we don't need to know everything else. We don't. We can assume things. It's okay to assume things. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, man. 110%.
Oh, actually, one more thing I want to say about the movie. Sorry to cut you off there again.
Yeah, no, all good, man.
Okay. Something I absolutely loved about this movie was the stuff on the battlefield with the trenches, like seeing Han go through the battlefield. It's all stormy and gritty looking. AT-ATs are going around. It's like, I want a whole movie with that kind of stuff because it's like, oh, that's actually war. I like it.
Well, and you look at that Andor thing, and it looks like, oh, we might get a taste of that.
Oh, very true.
Like
very
there's
true.
a couple of hints. So, well, you might get what you want there, sir. Alrighty.
Nice.
Let me bring up my my little tier list thingy. I'll get this out of the way. Myself, I can't remember. Well, we're gonna find out. I put it. Yeah, I did not feel the same way. I did certainly feel it was better, but I put it in the sand course, rough, irritating, and
Okay.
no big knock on what was going on there. Just yeah, I was really just like, yeah, I could, yeah, I could care less about this film.
The cast deserve better.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. You know what? And here's another thing. I am really getting tired of what I would call side quest. Oh, and then we got to go get this, and then we got to go get that, and I'm not saying that can't happen in a movie. You look at Raiders of the Lost Ark. It is literally here, and then we got to go here, and then we got to go there. But that feels like you're in a never-ending. The stakes keep rising. Your goal is always the same. Here, it didn't feel like that. I felt like you're in a lot of side quests and a lot of little story cul-de-sacs. Yeah. Let's take a quick before we get this one up. Let's take a quick look at the chat. We're caught up there. Cody, let's let me cue you up. What was your? But might as well start. What was your thinking for this?
The Last Jedi, or just in general?
The Last Jedi.
Okay. Well, ever since the movie came out in 2017, I've been in the positive camp for this movie. I, you know, this movie has just been like the definition of dividing a fan base, like cranked up to 11, I think. Uh, and you know what? I appreciated this movie being so different from Force Awakens because it felt like they were actually trying some new things and subverting expectations a little bit. You know, whether or not that subversion was done well every single time is up for debate, but I just appreciate that this movie exists, truly, and and it's really kind of a shame that they kind of went back and played it safe with episode 9, because who knows where things could have gone with that one, and I think it could, easily sway people 10 years from now to think that the sequels were great, like they think the prequels are nowadays. So I think them just that kind of backtracking, but ultimately, can we get to the tier, please, before I start rambling too much here?
You bet. Alrighty, just a sec here. Let's
Right.
get some of this nonsense off so I can. All right, well, yeah.
So,
So you put it at drum roll.
you underestimate my power. It's not at the absolute top, but it's a lot better than 50% of Star Wars fans give it credit for.
Yeah.
How about
you know
you?
what? Myself, well, I will tell you in a second here.
By the way, I didn't look
This
at
is
your.
not running as slow as I thought it would. Rather impressed here. All right, for myself, what were you saying there, Cody?
I was gonna say when we kind of swapped tiers like yesterday or early this morning, I didn't get a really good hard look at yours because I wanted to remain a little surprised. But
Yeah.
so I'm not. So I don't remember where you put this one and most of them. So this is gonna get interesting from here on out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and it looks like because of juggling a million things in my head, I was like, oh yeah. Okay. Oops. What the heck? There we go. I put it in purple lightsaber.
Okay.
I did feel, it's the best way to put this, Cody. I felt this flick. How can I say this? You know what? I was impressed that it was trying to do something different. I don't believe it was. It was a swing and a miss, but not like some terrible crime was committed. I was like, they're trying something different, and at times I became more engaged in her. I felt like she was a little less of a Mary Sue, and I
Herbie
had
Ray, right?
Ray, yeah, and I had no problem at all seeing, like, it was interesting some of the debate about, well, Luke and even Mark Hamill supposedly didn't like the way the character went, but I'm like, it wouldn't be the first person who had the promise of youth and even into their early adult years, and then all of a sudden becomes a bitter old man, cranky
Yeah.
because something didn't work out.
Yeah.
And it's like, and so for myself, or he wouldn't do that. I'm like, I don't know. I totally get that, and I think they established that he had this big disappointment. He had a disappointment in himself. Like this. I say this as a 55-year-old man. I'm like, yeah, no, I know those people. I've been this guy. You later on you can look at your life. You can look at your life through the lens of regret. And I think that's what the character was doing. And that Ray is that spark to kind of go, you got to get your ass back in the game, man. Like you've been pouting for too long. So so that's why it moves up. But it was a miss or maybe a foul. I was like, it didn't really hit as hard as it could. Like, yeah, I like the baseball analogy for this. Anyway, that's kind of where I was coming from on that. That's why it ended up there, my friend.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned like how Mark Hamill thought about it, because I don't think he necessarily said he didn't like it as much as he didn't it didn't reflect how he thought the character would be at this point in his life. And I think what the movie does so well with the Luke Skywalker character, I think it's just a reflection of just like how this character has just transcended pop culture and the mythos of
Yeah.
Star Wars overall. Just say like, this big, powerful character that brought down the Empire, defeated the Empire or the Emperor himself, and it's like, oh, it's like he's like, the most legendary figure in the galaxy, but it's like he didn't ask for that,
Yeah.
and now it's like, oh, I have to be this amazing, perfect Jedi that, saved the entire galaxy 40 years ago, but now it's like I'm only human and
Yeah.
I can't save everybody either. Not to get off topic, but it's kind of
Yeah.
like Superman in a certain Zack Snyder movie, but that's all I'm going to say on
Yeah.
that subject, but
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, and I respect that, and that's actually an interesting. Yeah, you know what? If we maybe another time maybe we don't rank, but we compare these hero characters, these
hey, the Last
superhero
Jedi's
characters.
the Last Jedi's fifth 5-year anniversary is this year, so there's an
Oh,
opportunity for that there.
oh, there we go. And a couple, even as you're talking about that, and I didn't mean that I thought Luke's or Mark Hamill was again it. Like I say, he disagreed with that, but he was super supportive of Ryan Johnson's vision and totally got where he fits in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
Like I do. He's well, you never really know talent. Like I mean, but he certainly comes across as one of the classy S acts as far as true super movie stars go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that bugged me about this film is
It was a Porgs, was it?
no, some of that stuff a little ridiculous, but what the hell? It's Star Wars. There's going to be something like that. No, it was the way they dealt with the Finn character, and in general through the whole,
Trilogy, yeah.
yeah, through this whole trilogy, the way they dealt with it. And they started in this one, shuffling them off, starting to build that romantic tension between the man Rey saw him murder his father in cold blood. But, whatever. It could be hot for him. Like, what the? I never got that. But anyway, yeah, more going back to Finn, just the way they kind of, we're going to send Finn off on a pointless side quest.
Yeah, he definitely deserved better.
Yeah, the character deserved better. And but, well. Still, to me, worth a purple lightsaber. And I can see why. Yeah, there's more going on in this film, and I can see why you put it in. You underestimate my power. I totally get that. All right, let's move forward. Rogue One. This was the first Star Wars story, one that I was certainly getting jazzed about. But when it was announced, but let's take this off of here. Get that out of your face. And bring this up. So, Cody, yeah, where were you coming from when we were talking about this? When we look at this flick?
All right. Well, kind of like what you were saying, I was really excited for this movie when it was coming out. Like the idea of telling the story of how the Death Star plans how the rebels got their hands on it. Was like, there's definitely something there that could definitely work. And this was also like, I think this movie also came out maybe not quite exactly the height of the new Star Wars zeitgeist, if you will, where it's like, oh, Star Wars is back and it's in the theater and it's gonna be cool, so it's like kind of got to ride that high a little bit with this movie, and just the cinematography of it all, and filling in a few gaps with the story, bridging the prequels into the original more. So I could talk about this movie a lot longer, but just to not babble like an idiot for the next 20 minutes, I put it into the ready to do the thing.
I'm ready to do the thing.
All right, so I put it into the You underestimate my power, T. Yeah, that's not correct. There we go. You underestimate my power.
There we go. Right along with the what the hell was that movie? We just talked about it.
The
The Last
Mohicans, I
Jedi.
think.
The Last Jedi. There was a guy, and he did a thing,
And he was the last. Yeah.
and he was the last to do that thing. I do. Let's say hi to Mr. Saxo Keat.
Woo, what's up, Mr. Saxakey?
Apparently, he appreciates us, and
Oh,
I don't know. I don't want to speak for Cody, but I appreciate you, Mr. Saxo Keat.
feelings mutual. So
Fantastic. See, it's just love and appreciation all around, which is not bad for a thing dedicated to Star Wars.
no, this is a quality crowd we've got here.
You bet. Well, you know what? You and I attract quality. I think that, or as Mister Saxkeet says, respect.
Can't argue with that.
Okay, our next flick we are looking. Oh wait, I have to answer this question, don't I?
Yeah, we
Where I
got to
put Rogue.
debate a little bit there.
Yeah. Jeez Louise, it was such a big. All right, just a sec here. Let me get my nonsense up.
Rogue One, or as some people spell it, Rouge One, because grammar is hard.
All right, bear with me, my friend. Surely. Oh, excuse me, terrible belch.
No, you're good.
Okay, here we are, my friend. I went with on this. I'm with you on this one. I was excited to see it, and even though it's not a perfect film, it's pretty effing good. I put it in You Underestimate My Power.
That's what's up.
First, I was super like I really like I thought it's like now this is a big swing that connects, not a home run. But you know what?
Pretty damn close.
It's I would say it's that flawed. It's got flaws. It doesn't stick. I think its biggest problem is it doesn't stick the landing. And I was one of those where I'm like, oh, this tonally is so not a Star Wars movie. Like it's got all the everything else. Like it looks like one, but the tone, the aesthetic, it's such a darker flick. And not dark, oh, the dark side's winning, but more the dark
Grateful.
side that's within all our hearts. Grief, just, I think tonally it was so different, and yet it just didn't stick the landing. That's why I couldn't put it in the top tier. But I was really just, I was stupid jazzed about this flick. I mean,
Same here.
as far as I was concerned, Rogue One was like, damn. Anyway,
I mean, Greg Fraser's cinematography, Ben Mendelsohn as a villain, that hallway scene with Darth Vader. Just that whole third act was just excellent, in my opinion. The way it matches.
I detest that hallway scene, but
Okay.
detest it.
Okay. All right. I see
I
how it
think
is.
it's a great way to gut a character. Perfect example of, oh, you know what? We don't know what we can do to make our movie unique. We'll just make it more. That said, one scene that does not like it's. I think the landing is more to do with Felicity Jones's character. I think they could have done other things, and some terrible CGI. Like other movies will just hire a lookalike. They'll accept that they don't have Carrie Fisher.
Okay.
You know, that they don't like. I mean, Jesus, that was terrible. Like disturbing to look at.
Okay, I will mildly detest that point, Rob.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not necessarily disagreeing with this that the CGI is not where it should be. My argument, though, is they were still very much figuring out that whole digital makeup, if you want to call it, of
Yeah.
bringing these characters back. So it's one of those. I feel like it's a
Oh
necessary
yeah, the
evil.
Peter Cushing one was also, you
I
know,
didn't. I thought it was okay in certain lights, but the way I
no,
see it is,
I'm not going, "Bleh," but more like,
yeah. But the way I see that though is it's kind of a necessary evil because if they don't attempt it, they can't get better at it. And I think with like certain newer projects, both Star Wars and non-Star Wars, it's getting better. So it's like if we don't have a couple of missteps here and there, it's not going to improve. That's just my take on it. I'm not trying to give excuses for the
yeah,
movie, but it's like it's technology trying to catch up. So
yeah. I I I think though, and this would be my. I hear what you're saying, and yeah, I get that. I'm wondering though, with the Peter Cushing Grand Moff Tarkin, totally like it didn't like it took me out of the movie a little, but not a lot. I'm thinking though, it's like yeah, on such an iconic character, like yeah, it's oh, they should have looked at it and said, yeah, we got to do this a different way. This is not going to be good. And while still achieving what you're talking about, use it with not that Peter Cushing was like he had his moments in that first movie. Grand Moff Tarkin is a great character, and the guy delivered. But he's not the one of the three, the OG three, and so I think they can be a little rougher with that character than they and the visage than with Princess Leia. That could also be just my own. You know, I was a 10-year-old boy. Princess Leia was like,
yeah.
all right. Let's move forward. Let's take a look at the Force. The Force Awakens.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, now we're getting into some interesting ground here. What was your thinking on this film, Cody?
Oh Jesus, where to even begin? Like literally everybody was just freaking the hell out and hyped up the roof or through the roof for this movie when it came out. Because first Star Wars movie in 10 years, continuation from the original trilogy, all these legacy characters coming back, doing brand new things, trying to recapture the look and feel of the original, but still pushing the technology forward, and just so
J.J.
much.
Abrams coming off a couple of fun, like what he did with Star Trek.
Yeah. So I mean,
You
this
know,
movie was just. It was the most. It's one of, if not the most hyped movie I have seen in my time ever. Top five easily. And it was just one of those movie experiences where it's like Star Wars. I'm watching Star Wars on the big screen. It was the first time I
yeah,
ever saw a Star Wars movie on the big screen, so it's got a little bit of a special feel to it there. And
yeah,
this
getting you
movie
in
just
there.
yeah, the movie is just brimming with potential up the butt. And unfortunately, not all
And
of
dare
it's
I say, hope.
exactly.
Yeah,
So, maybe with future installments, it didn't really pull off that hope the way it should have. But, the movie's not without its flaws, but I still enjoy this movie to death to this day. So, if you want to go to the tier list
well,
real quick.
I do want to, before we move to the tier list, you had mentioned about the hype. I think
Mm-hmm.
this is a perfect time to mention to everyone. I do, so Cody, first of all, of course, people can find him on, if you're watching from my channel, of course, you can find Cody on Twitter at Cody Brockopp. And of course, in the link or in the description, you'll find a link to his channel and to his most recent video on the history of the hype of Star Wars when Star Wars was overhyped. Great video. You got to go check it out. All right.
Thank you.
So enough of that little side. Speaking of side quests, let's bring up the Let's get this on screen. All right.
So, I'm gonna put The Force Awakens in the you underestimate my power tier. I
Yeah.
debated putting it in high ground, but I was like, I don't want to get crucified, so I'll put it in that one. But I love this. I love this movie though, so don't take it the wrong way. I love The Force Awakens to this
Gotcha.
day. So
I don't know, and I can respect that. I get that. How's it? Friends of mine, German friends of mine, had talking about Harry Potter, and that was their, because of their age and what they were into, that was their Star Wars. That was their
oh,
cross
absolutely.
generational, like that was their big. They dressed up. They like they went all out because they were just at the perfect age, and I get it. So I get why this is at that level for you, because it was like a yeah, it was your opportunity at your time of life to experience a theater big Star Wars. I get it, man.
Yeah,
Totally get that.
yeah. Saw it
Um,
5 times too in the theater. So
no, that's commitment. That
well,
is, well, you know what? That's
it was like sorry, you were saying.
no, keep going.
It's one of those like when opening day, which was like the last day of like the semester before winter break, so it's like oh cool, and then 2 days later went back to see it again. Then the family like some wanted to see it, so I tagged along. Then my mom wanted to see it, and then like a month later I was like screw it, one more time, let's go. So the movie was just kind of an addiction for a while, which I think it was for a lot of people because it made $2 billion worldwide. So it was just the movie was a perfect storm of a lot of
Yeah,
things. So
yeah. No, I and again, yeah, I get it. Um, for me,
I don't like where this is
um,
going.
for me, a little different experience.
I
Uh,
imagine.
I put it in the purple lightsaber.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I and you know what? I probably there's probably at a different time in my life, Cody, I could see myself of putting it lower. Um,
Mm,
but I was like, I had fun that first time. I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's a beat for beat remake. It really is in many respects a reboot.
absolutely. Yeah.
But at the same time, it was, and yeah,
Yeah.
without, like, I was excited to see Ray, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
good, this is a good idea. I did, like, even Luke had to have a little bit of training. And they set up that he was a pilot better, whereas her, like, she's doing advanced level 4 shit right away. So there's that little bit of a Mary Sue. But at the same time, you know what? 90% of what I expected happened. You know what? You saw J.J. Abrams in some way at his best, in that kind of, nope, I know what I'm doing here. I'm going to make this fun. I'm going to give people what they expect. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to re-energize the franchise. And so
Exactly.
yeah, I again, I could have gone lower, but I was like, I'd feel churlish about it. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
Like, it was fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
You should at least get a purple lightsaber. It was not.
Yeah.
I did not come out of the experience kind of going, "Well, where's my fucking money?"
Yeah. Yeah. And
Unlike another film where I was like, "Are you kidding me? What do you mean he's alive? What the, like that?" In some ways, I think this, The Force Awakens, is maybe Abrams at his best for this franchise. Not
yeah.
at his best, but at his best for his franchise. And The Rise of Skywalker is like every bad habit he has, which you see even in his best films.
Yeah.
The every bad habit he has in spades. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to mention, and this. Well, you know who I am, Cody. Is I can't help myself. There's always a political component. What they did with Ming Tran by just writing her basically out of the story, it's like, "F you, you cowardly, that you would fold to those bigots." And you can only interpret it that way. Even if they swear up and down, it wasn't that, it was the story or whatever. It's like, yeah, you know how it would look. You could have, fuck you. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's not this movie. This movie was
Yeah.
fun. And it
Yeah.
was exciting. Not just Ray, Finn was exciting.
Yeah. And
Like
two.
that
Yeah.
was cool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I just want a couple points I wanted to make based on like what you were saying there. I wouldn't necessarily say that Rey could be fully categorized in as a Mary Sue here because, she has a goal she wants. She wants to, find her family again. She's scrapping to survive. She actually has emotions and is confused
Yep.
about things. But I definitely see what you're talking about. Where it's like, oh, she's just uber powerful right out the gate.
Yeah.
Uh, and the other
And
thing
some
is,
of that is all the other stuff. Everything's just more,
yeah.
like, sorry, you were saying in another thing?
Yeah, and like going with the whole basically remake of A New Hope thing, the way I always saw it was just them trying to play it a little safe because with how different and polarizing the prequels were at the time, it's like okay, we need to go back to basics a little bit, keep it
Yep.
simple, keep it familiar. Which also, I think The Force Awakens has had both a positive and a negative effect on movies as a whole because now every franchise in existence is like, okay, we need to do that. Do the Legacy sequel, just repeat all the same shit, feed all the member berries as possible, and, maybe have a couple new characters. So, so it's like, this movie is good, but goddamn, has it had some effects on the entire industry.
I'd love to dig
Holy
into that more, but we're already
Yeah, I know. I just had to,
47 minutes in
I
it,
know. I
and
just had to put that out there.
we got like 6 more movies to hit. Okay. And the next one would be
All right,
Revenge
all
of the
right.
Sith.
This
What
is where the
was
fun begins.
yeah. Well, tell us what your thinking was, my friend.
Okay, so just as a whole, the Star Wars prequels, I was not like humongous into Star Wars as a kid, but it was always a part of my life.
Yep.
Like the prequels, watched them on DVD, like at my grandparents' house and stuff, and played like Lego Star Wars. So it was always there. So I didn't have like a huge like biasy towards these movies, but I think overall, Revenge of the Sith is the best of the prequel movies. It, it's like at this point we've been with these characters for 2 movies. It leads into what we all wanted, seeing Anakin finally turn. It's got some great character moments with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Just, seeing everything just go completely to shit so the Empire can rise up. And the fact that, the movie doesn't have a happy ending, which is interesting. And, it doesn't do everything well. I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie, but in terms of the prequels, hands down, it's the best one of all 3. And I think when you think of the best Star Wars movies, I can already feel your judgment, Rob, what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna put Revenge of the Sith into the high ground tier.
Myself, I shocked is too strong. In the end, we're still just talking about movies here. Let's not let's not go overboard. Let's say, but yeah, I did not feel the same way about this film.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think well, heck, now not only I forgot until you kind of let it up. It's oh yeah, that's right. He really thought this was great. I can't remember where I put it. But once I do, it won't. It was not on the high ground. This film
I
didn't. It
could
may
have,
have.
I assumed.
Yeah. Um, Although here on a quick weird little side note, um, it's interesting for as much as they get mocked, and they get mocked pretty hard actually.
Not so much anymore, but absolutely.
But yeah, they get beat up a little. Um, they did generate some great. How do I put this? They
Memes.
generated some great lines. Like really, even if they're repeated with an eye roll, it's still a memorable line. I can't remember. You may, but from the 7 through 9, there isn't one. They managed to Rogue Squad, Rogue One
Mm-hmm.
had a couple. One which they cut, or they just had in the commercial, which was awesome.
This is a
And
rebellion, isn't it?
she she delivered it well. Um, but yeah, they generated some great lines. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but but none through 7, 8, or 9. I can't. Can you think of anything? I can't.
Mm. I, the one that kind of comes to mind is when Kylo Ren's talking to the Darth Vader helmet and saying "I will finish what you started." That one kind of sticks out to me, but not on the same level as anything else. So, I
Yeah.
guess
No. This is pod race.
okay. Okay, so what's your ranking of Revenge of the Sith?
We're getting there. All right, my
Let's
my
square up, okay?
ranking. Yeah, yeah. I added sand, coarse, rough, and irritating. I think by the time we had got here, Cody, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, meh, whatever. I'm not. I really, and this is something that I've become more as I develop my taste.
Mm-hmm.
As my taste forever develops, I've really gotten into how the filmmakers treat a character. And I think the way they treated Padme by having her die of a broken heart, even though she was pregnant with children, just drives me up the wall. Like treating characters that way. Yeah, and actually it's interesting. Some of my biggest beefs with any of these films are when it comes down to how I feel they're treating a character. And I think that was in what was otherwise such an awesome, strong, like she is a solid character,
Mm-hmm.
and she drives the bus. She has, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's how you're killing her? You couldn't have killed her another way? You couldn't have had Anakin kill her? Like there's so many ways they could have delivered that coup de grace. Heck, have the Emperor kill her, and then yeah, that was out of control. I had nothing to do with it. Like there is ways to bump her off, but to have her give up on on life because you know some guy, like it's like an insult to us all. But anyway, that wasn't that was not the only thing. Um, and it's why I didn't put it in the bottom either. It is so hard to get us to like a character and then have them fall. And so some of the seeds of my not really being that impressed were really planted early on in the Phantom Menace. And when we talk about that, which you may be surprised where I ranked that one actually. So yeah, that's kind of how I felt about that. Let's keep moving forward, shall we?
Alrighty. Alright, what's
What
next?
what is our next? Wow, we're getting into it. Attack of the Clones.
Oh, yay.
um, What was your thinking on this one, Cody?
Um, this is the one Star Wars movie I kind of struggle to watch all the way through sometimes. Um, there's some things about this movie I do like, like the Camino planet showing the clone army getting built or created, I should say, and the beginning of the Clone Wars. You know, of course, once again, Ewan McGregor being as Obi-Wan, really getting to see him in
Mm,
action a lot more, and
a
so
bit of a relationship between him and Anakin, like that you felt was real.
yeah, and just seeing Anakin being a bit you know un what's impulsive. Like saying like, oh, we got to attack Count Dooku now. Oops, my arm's gone, and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just there's just there's not a lot of excitement in this movie between the really good parts, and it's kind of weird that okay, just to make things simple, it's my least favorite of the prequels, and I put it into the sand, coarse, rough, irritating tier. Not because the line's in the movie, but because it kind
Although
of
it is
irritates me a
fitting.
little. So like it kind of irritates me a little bit. So
I'm picking up what you're putting down, dude. I myself, I was for this flick. It here was the I remember when this came out. And it's like, well, maybe can they give us something a bit more. Um, will they recover from episode 1? That's what I was hoping for. I was, you know what, to go into the history of hype, I was super, super duper stoked, like crazy stoked, Cody, about episode 1. And
hmm
so went out of that movie. That wasn't bad, in part because I was delusional. And so by the time, though, I was kind of got over the delusion and into this film, I was like, you betrayed me, George, but maybe you can redeem yourself.
yeah,
Which is why, and just a second here, let me pull
that's
up my
actually
tier list.
actually an interesting point you mentioned there. But let's circle back to once we see your ranking.
Yeah, let me just pull that up. Bear with me. All right. Um, oh, yikes! I did.
Oh no, seeing the
Whoopsie.
wizard behind the curtain here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, damn it. Oh, and I also, okay, sorry, Ahmed, taking your comment off the screen for a sec. We'll come back to it. We'll circle back to that. For myself, I put Phantom Menace,
Phantom Menace. What?
or sorry, whatever the heck this was called.
There
I
we go.
also put it in sand, coarse, rough, and irritating. Um, that's where it belonged as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
This was another, and no energy, no. Yeah, it was kind of a bummer of a flick. Or not a bummer of a flick, a boring film. Maybe that's it. That's it. It committed the biggest sin. It was
Yeah.
boring. You know,
Yeah.
you're right. Like there was a couple of scenes that were like kind of, or it was like neat, production design wise and that. But I cannot say there is any big moment. A bit of energy at the very beginning as they're like kind of two cops. Like it's almost like they're trying to change genres.
Which
But
could have
I
worked.
was still, yeah. Well, then, but you got to commit to the bit. And
Very
I
true.
do not feel like these guys in any way committed to the bit. So yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't. I
Yeah.
couldn't. You're gonna say something?
Yeah. I said
Go ahead.
two other points I was gonna make. When it comes to Attack of the Clones, it's not a Star Wars movie I would probably ever watch by itself. Like, I'm never on a Friday night be like, hey, let's watch Attack of the Clones. But like,
Ah,
like if I'm marathoning Star Wars, like, like I do like once a year, then I don't mind watching it at that point. 'Cause it's like watching the entire fucking saga unfold. It's like once you kind of put it together with everything else, it's like, oh, okay, just kind of the middle chapter. All right, not bad. So,
Do
and the
you
other thing,
think? Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
uh,
The other thing.
actually, yeah, well, like what you were saying about watching Phantom Menace, being involved in the hype, coming out saying, oh yeah, that was good, and then once the sequel comes around, be like, hey, wait a minute. That was a point I actually kind of regret not mentioning in my video, where it's like, I kind of just said, oh, people hated it, but it's like, that's not really true necessarily, because a lot of people came out saying like, oh yeah, it was good, it's a Star Wars, it's a Star Wars, and then later it's like,
And
wait
like
a minute, no, it wasn't.
decades between, an even longer period of time, I think. Oh, no, maybe the same amount of time. I
Yeah,
can't
so it's
remember.
like I feel like that could have been an interesting like piece on like how hype can cloud your judgment on a movie. So I'm like, damn it, that could have been a really deep moment, but I didn't do it. Fuck.
You've had your opportunity now. But I think that's a great thing about tier lists, especially this kind of thing, where we're comparing stuff we've seen in a world, let's say, and that for me was like, how did this movie affect my interpretation of the next one? Because we'd never see it in a vacuum. Ahmed says here, few movies about Star Wars sequel trilogies, never watched it. So, of course, he prefers the original. This
Most
does
people
not
do,
surprise me.
but none of the
Thanks for
sequels
that,
really.
Ahmed.
Wow.
Uh, this, I think, though, is the time before we move into the Phantom Menace and the final three. I do think it's time to beg for a like, ask you to subscribe to either channel, if not both, if you haven't already. And then, of course, don't forget to ringy ding that bell. All right. I think we're ready for the next one. Let me double check here. Yes, I am on your. I think we're ready to go. And the next we are talking about is, yeah, the
The
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, man. What? Testify. What were you? What were you thinking?
Well, I was fortunate enough not to be caught up in the Phantom Menace hype machine because I was like 1 years old when it came out. Uh,
Well, that's convenient.
exactly. So, but
Mighty convenient there, Mr. Brockopp.
and and like I said, I wasn't really, like actively seeing the movies in the theaters like 2 and 3 when they were coming out. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't a super big part of my upbringing, but it was still there. And going into the internet and hearing like their thoughts on it may have tainted my perspective a little bit. But anyway, I've never thought this movie was as bad as most people claimed it to be. Like I mentioned in that video, it's got a decent blend of practical and digital. Pod racing's a lot of fun. I like some of the characters. John Williams' score is
Yep.
incredible, and it's a pure George
Some of
Lucas
the
product
set
too.
pieces are really cool.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, there's a couple of set pieces. When the droid army is trying to. Oh, that was awesome.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And and like compared to the other two prequel movies, this one is I don't think it has as many like, meme-inducing lines of dialogue or things that make you go, "Oh, what the hell?" It's like people were hard on it before. Like I mentioned,
Jar
they're
Jar
all.
notwithstanding.
I don't hate Jar Jar to be honest with you, but uh, like I mentioned earlier, people have been starting to warm up to these movies a bit more, and basically speaking, I would prefer this one over Attack the Clones, so I put it into the purple lightsaber tier. Definitely not the best Star Wars movie, not the worst. It's better than Rise of Skywalker. And yeah, give it a
That's
chance, you doo-doo heads.
That's where you're coming from. I get it, man. I totally get it. For a bit it looked like you were frozen. But
Yeah, I was just
you seem fine for me now.
I was just staring into people's souls for a minute there.
You were. I was too busy listening to you. All right, for myself, episode 1. Let me. Oops. Did not want to do that. See if I can't get this up. Blah blah blah. Alrighty, my episode 1.
Oh no.
You know what? I may surprise you. I may shock and amaze you.
Not clickbait.
Episode 1, I put in the purple lightsaber.
Okay.
I put it in purple lightsaber. It was a couple of reasons. Yeah, notwithstanding later disappointment. And some stuff where it's like, wow, like I never thought, let's say a hero like George Lucas, like in my mind, a big hero like George Lucas, you'd find it's like, wow, that's some 50s era view of, ethnicity. That was shocking.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, buddy, that's some hella race or like bigoted shit, and lazy to me. So you do have to look at that. It is the Phantom Edit. And for those of you who don't know, somebody shortly after the movie came out, got a digital version, cut a lot of the Jar Jar stuff out, not eliminated the character, but cut a lot of it out. Because that's another thing. A lot of the stuff with him was like kind of slowing up the story. It's like, did they have to go there to do that part? And it became a lot tighter and just a lot more entertaining of a movie. It has some moments that I'm like, I still think that fight scene that was the perfect amount of more. Yeah, it's a little more than your typical, but I could buy that you know what? Obi-Wan is a lot younger. I expect him to be a little more physical. Liam Neeson wasn't this geriatric rescuing white girls from, white slavers. I can't remember the guy who played Darth Maul, but
Ray Parker. Ray Park. Yeah.
Great presence.
And
just one of the best fight scenes just ever. Like the music cues, everything. So they had some great set pieces. The pod racing was fun. It runs into problems that we've already talked about. Side quests. Oh, I got to go here to do this, It feels like a video game to a degree. I have to collect this piece, and then I get that piece. And now I have to go to the bar. I have to go to the inn, the tavern.
Just like the Lego game.
Yeah. So, but that said, it definitely was a George Lucas joint. And I think it deserves points because it didn't feel like the later ones where you get kind of, well, this is my interpretation of Star Wars, or this is how my Disney employers want me to interpret Star Wars. Here it's like, this is total George Lucas. Love it or hate it, he doesn't care. He is he is an independent filmmaker. Nobody likes to use that label, but he really is. And it's just that he had the personal check to cut to make it work.
I mean, that's a good point there. Is that the prequels, and I think, are technically independent movies, just distributed by a major studio. He flipped the bill for all of these so he could have complete control, and they were still mega successes. So it's like, kind of not fair to say those are the most
Yeah.
successful indie movies ever, but it's like
It's
there's just a layer of respect you got to give to the prequels, regardless of your feelings,
uh,
because it's his vision. It pushed technology forward so fucking greatly too. So it just Star Wars keeps doing its Star Wars thing and pushing blockbuster filmmaking to new levels.
yeah. And yeah, it also gives you like in so many movies, well you've covered a couple with us, but for Jim and I, where we kind of go, okay, we got to put it on the director because they're the ones who have the most pull on set, but we will, like, depending on the budget level and the stars and everything, we kind of go, well, we got to allow for the fact that the studio may have had notes or this happened or that happened. Not with
Not this
George.
time.
It's all him. It's this is what I want. You know, and even in his casting, other than Samuel L. Jackson, speaking of purple lightsabers, everyone else, I'm sure they're just, what do you mean I'm in Star Wars? Like, great. Like there had been like again, so yeah, he's not dealing, it's on him, which I am fine with. Like he deserves a film by George
Mm-hmm.
Lucas. So many others where it's just a vanity card, you know, it's like, you didn't do it. Studio financed it. That person cut it. That person, you know, like there's only a few I think that really deserve it, and he does for good and bad. And so that's why I gave it a purple lightsaber.
Yeah.
That's my story, man.
Funny
Yep.
enough, no purple lightsabers in this movie. That didn't happen until episode 2.
Yeah, we did. Did we even meet? Yeah, we did meet him because they had to do some council bullshit, right?
Yeah, at the very
Yeah,
end,
we
where it's
had
like,
met. Yeah.
I must take on Anakin as a master. Bitch, you're not a master, but shut up. I'm Obi-Wan. Shut up. Also, also, why'd they
Yeah.
change Yoda CGI later on? That's bullcrap.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, we can go into the weeds. There's a reason it's not in "You Underestimate My Power." Like, there's many things we can talk about with this film, but anyway, Ahmed says I think Star Wars episodes did include Jar Jar Binks. It was a lot of Jar Jar.
I think there might be a typo. I think he said, Mike was trying to say it was good, including Jar Jar. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want to speak for you, Ahmed. So if you want to chime in and correct me, but I think he was trying to be positive about it, like in spite
Gotcha.
of Jar Jar, he liked it. But
Yeah.
that's just my take on it. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah,
a,
yeah, yeah. That's a better read. Thank you
I'm
very
not
much,
always right
Cody.
on things, but I could be right on
Yeah,
that one. So
it's a better read to me. All right. And regardless, thanks for chiming in there, Ahmed. All right. Let's get into, yeah, we're, boy, let's give short shrift to the series, the trilogy that started it all.
the one where we're probably going to agree pretty damn well on, I think.
You know, we'll find out. Okay.
Oh, very true, very true.
Cody, let's, well,
Return of the
do we want to, do we want to, this is just me thinking out loud, do we want to do these three individually or do the, yeah, let's keep doing what we're doing, eh?
Yeah, let's just stick with it.
Yeah.
We're an hour
Gotcha.
and 13 minutes, and let's not go messing with things now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. There we are.
All right.
We
Well,
are just
return.
gonna we are gonna be you know, let's say assertive in our doing this. All right. Yeah, Return of the Jedi. What was your thinking on it, man?
All right. Well, again, there's a lot of great things to say about this movie, like the opening with rescuing Han from Jabba the Hutt, even though it does kind of just happen without any real story beats beyond saving Han. Really cool. I always thought Luke having a green lightsaber was the coolest shit ever for some reason. The final confrontation with Darth Vader, Luke, and the Emperor, so well done, and just so many great elements like Luke Skywalker practically turning to the dark side for a split second, but then coming back and realizing this is not his way. Darth Vader redeeming himself, getting to look his son in the eyes one last time, the galaxy being
Through
defeated.
his real eyes.
Exactly, kind of looks like Mr. Freeze in the 60s Batman TV show, but,
Hey,
you know, and again, trying to push VFX further even more because there was some blue screen elements in there too, like when they're on the speeder bikes on Endor. Some of the VFX don't blend together as well as the other two movies, I will say,
early
but
use of Steadicam in that flick, you
precisely
know?
so. Jedi is still a great movie, but it's definitely not my favorite of the original trilogy. So I'm gonna put it into the "you underestimate my power" category. So it's a B or like a A minus, but
Yeah, I hear what you're
Ewoks.
saying.
I don't hate the
Ewok.
Ewoks, but like,
I,
why couldn't it just be like the Wookiee planet? That would have been so badass. But that's not.
you know what? I was, I was okay with the Ewoks. I was totally fine with them.
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I mean,
I don't
that was
hate
a
them either, but
great
it's like,
light B plot. Like every time you went down there, it was like, okay, we're in the denouement. The big, oh, excuse me. So we're in the denouement. The big conflict. The big conflict is is Luke and his father. That's the big thing to resolve. The Empire stopping this new, fully functional, fully operational Death Star.
that they
Uh,
built in like a year. The other one took like 20 fucking years to build, but
I don't know, because they're already building it. I figured, who cares? Like, no, none of the economics of Star Wars fucking works out. It's like none of it. It makes J.K. Rowling's economics of the wizarding world make sense, and that doesn't make any sense. It's got to be the most over governed world ever. Anyway, back to this. Yeah, so whenever they went down there with the Ewoks, like when there's always a couple of moments that and the moments will be different, but there'll always be moments of cringe, right? A little bit of I'm embarrassed for us all, but I was okay with it. Now, where did I put this?
I don't
Let
know.
me let me tell you.
Okay.
I put it in. You underestimate my power. And now some of this is honestly the experience of someone who, I saw the first movie when I was 10. I saw the first movie when I was 10, and the second movie I'm 13. Like it's the wow, this is finishing up for me. I had gotten over the fact that Leia and Luke are not going to end up together. Gotten over that, and so it's like good. This is I'm feeling. I felt that this is like, yeah, this is the end of a thing, and I'm good with this. This journey that I started as a 10-year-old, finishing. What did it come out in 85?
83.
83. Thank you. So I'm 16 years old, and I'm like, yeah, I'm satisfied. It's narratively satisfying. The end is narratively satisfying. Of course, they're going to have a party, some fireworks. I do like later on, because I'm now in my 50s, the Mandalorian is like, all right, this is how the new Republic is trying to establish some order in the fringes,
Oh yeah.
which is all awesome. But anyway, that's how I felt about that. Let's move forward. The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh
This
yeah.
is a big one. This is a big one,
The
and one
biggest
that
one.
I think, I don't know. Could we say, in some ways, how can I put this?
It's fucking great.
Jeez, tell us how you really feel.
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, actually, tell us how you feel, man.
I mean, so much has been said about The Empire Strikes Back over the years. It's just, there's a reason why every trilogy, the second movie, is often regarded as The Empire Strikes Back of that series because it's almost the perfect way to do a chapter 2 of a trilogy because it pushes things forward, steps a little out of the familiar, goes a little bit darker, puts the heroes at their lowest point. So
Yeah,
the only thing they
on
can
their
do
back
moving
feet.
exactly. So the only thing they can do moving onward is to, rise back up and, save the day.
Yeah,
So there's a reason why this movie is a classic example. You can see it in everything from, The Dark Knight and so on and so forth. That's the one I can think off the top of my head, but there's a million examples.
well, I mean, Matrix Reloaded. The
Pirates, Dead Man's Chest.
I would
Yeah.
argue that Infinity War
Mm,
was trying that. I do not think it was effective, but we are not reviewing the Infinity War saga. But I
yeah.
think
Yeah,
Infinity War and its
yeah.
downbeat end is doing the same thing.
Yeah. Maybe we can cover that in July after the new Thor comes out. But yeah, I mean, and also, it splits up the
Which I am
character.
jazzed to see.
Me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this movie does a lot. It gives us new worlds. It introduces us to Yoda and delves more into the lore of the Jedi and just the Star
Yeah.
Wars galaxy as a whole. And you know, also, one of the biggest movie twists ever with, Darth Vader being Luke's father, which, I've known that literally my entire life, so it was never a surprise because that shit has been spoiled endlessly with like every goddamn TV
Oh,
show ever. But I'm like, I wish I could have been there in 1980 watching it in the theater and been like, no! But it's
let
like,
me tell you, I was pissed. Pissed. Pissed.
anyway, so it's just the movie is just a prime example of how to do a sequel. Just little familiar, little new, put the characters into compromising scenarios, and just see like, oh shit, they've got a lot of work to do to get back up to speed with the next movie. So without delaying the inevitable, it's going into the high ground tier. Just
Yeah.
saying it now.
Oh, geez. I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought, oh, we're already done his. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, we really do have to focus a little better. I
Well, we're,
already
we're
had
nearly
that.
done anyway, so.
Okay. Bear with me, everybody. So what'd you say there?
It's going into the high ground. It's like, this is peak Star Wars.
Gotcha. Yeah, for myself, here, let me. I'll pull mine up right away. I did not put it in the high ground. I didn't like. I get why people give this the respect it gets. And yeah, you are absolutely right. Like it's a great example of yeah, that it is so hard in a trilogy to do that middle. Like
It's like,
that is a difficult thing, and to have, and it's still really about Luke.
yeah.
To have that character stripped of everything, of his identity at the end, and that's where he starts to become mechanized because his dad cut off a hand. Like you see the potential. It is a super well done example of storytelling and of a way to kind of strip a character, but he does survive. and he
Mm-hmm.
survives with his character intact. He's, you know, like even getting the hand that looks like a human hand is the kind of, I am going to retain my humanity. That this is who I am. Life is scars, but which is why I put it in. You underestimate my power. I am saving the high ground for one movie. You may be yeah, I'm sure everyone
Oh,
here is
gee,
like,
which one?
wonder what it could be. But yeah, I always like it is, but yeah, well, I'll tell you why I couldn't put it at a higher level in a minute. But yeah, that's kind of where I was coming from. And some of it is I Robbie likes a happy Robbie likes the happy ending. Um, and so some of it is honestly, I just I want to see a movie that that ends on a high. Speaking of which, Star Wars, the OG, the original, the thing that we overanalyzed, that we asked the question that no one was asking, at least no one, you know, that week. Does it hold up? Again, link to that video in the description. How did you feel about it? Where do you
Uh,
put this one?
so just to kind of reiterate my thoughts from Sunday a little bit, this movie, it has just fascinated me to death for so many years, just learning every single thing I can about the making of this movie and just how much of a pure triumph the first Star Wars movie is on so many levels. I mean, I still have this poster hanging up in my bedroom right now because it's Star Wars. Like, not just
Yeah,
in the title, but it's just
I
like
get it.
this is it. This movie is just a crowning achievement of cinema in so many ways. It's like without this movie, we wouldn't have so many of the greats that we have today. It wasn't the first major blockbuster, you know, Jaws did it first, but this just cranked it up to 11, maybe 12 even. Uh,
Well, and you know, like a cultural watershed.
exactly. I
Like,
mean, like this is the first time people were like, you know, crowding movie theaters all day long just to get tickets to go see it, watching it, you know, 2 dozen times over the course of a year, clamoring for action figures, and it was just the beginning of something beautiful. You know, and again, it's a classic example of the hero's journey. So you've
yeah.
got that relatable element in there, which kind of helps you buy into this crazy space fantasy even more. And there's so many more things that can be said, possibly over a hour and a half, 2 hour live stream, hint hint. But unquestionably, this is going into the high ground tier. There you go.
Oh, that's right. We have a tier thing we got going on. Yeah, yeah, man, I'm picking up what you're putting down here, bro. It is, you know, all of those things and more. I want to welcome, I'm going to call him a bit of a mentor. For those of you who don't know, I've got I can't call it even a side hustle. It's like a big chunk of how I earn a
It's
living
the
now is,
hustle.
yes, but it's still a hustle. It's just not a side hustle. It's kind of a pillar of my hustles. I'm a bit of a voiceover artist, a bottom third, climbing into the bottom of the middle third market, but one of my mentors, funny guy Timmy. Good to see you, man. He's like,
Oh,
see, you use the
nice, glad you could
idea,
make
but
it.
obviously just opinions and personal reviews, but still. Yes, we are funny guy Timmy. And yeah, so this is what we've. Good to see you, though, man. Thanks for dropping by. Stick around. We've got one more thing to say. And yeah, that here. Let me bring up my. Sorry.
I wonder where
Where
he's
would
gonna
mine
put it.
go? What would mine be?
The suspense is killing me.
I know everyone's overwhelmed. So for Star Wars, for me, for not just because of nostalgia or, oh, look at this. Timmy says, I would have a different list. And now I'm thinking, why didn't I? Yeah, we could have had like a triple here, but rest assured, Timmy, Cody's is different. We'll put both up in a second. But for myself, for some of it's just nostalgia, but some of it is I do think that this, like Jim and I had talked about with you on Sunday, was it is as close to perfect as you can make a movie, especially a hero's journey, a warrior hero's journey film. Coda, I think, is in many respects a perfect film, but you're not following a hero's journey arc. There, it's that's different. But yeah, this film I think is just such a great example, and it had such an impact on film and on film storytelling. Whether it be the whole idea of the blockbuster, bundling this with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and of course Jaws. But also in that is the way what Terry Rossio and Ted Elliott, the guys who wrote the original
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean, they on their blog, which I used to follow religiously, have not for years. My bad. They said yes, the hero's journey, or Hero of a Thousand Faces. That's the actual book, which I have right behind my little sound booth. Is the most quoted, least read book in Hollywood. Like there's these that storytelling style kind of. In many respects, is still kind of running the show in Hollywood, and so it for good and bad. So yeah. Anyway, enough of my prattling. I put it in the high ground, and unlike yourself,
sorry, you were saying?
Thank you. The thing I did do differently, yikes. The thing I did do differently is I felt I didn't want to have other ones up there. In part, I do. I feel it is even better than Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back is a great solution to a lot of problems. It is a great film, and on its own, it deserves all the respect it gets. But you need something truly brilliant to set up The Empire Strikes Back. And this just invented so much that owned this 10-year-old boy, and still kind of owns me now. Yeah, so that's kind of why I had to keep it on the high ground. None of the lesser films, although I do. And if we look at my tier list as it stands, I don't think Rogue One is the better or even the same as Return of the Jedi, or like if we had another tier, I would have slipped it down just one notch, like no disintegrations. Maybe like not to knock it, like because it, unlike the other two that totally stuck their landing, that is, yeah, could we have had 7? I think we could have. I may have put Solo a little lower, and maybe one. But
I see what you're saying there, but I think too many tiers also would kind of start to.
We're just straight up ranking them.
Yeah, I think that would start to take away from the tier structure altogether, because. This whole ordering could have been significantly different if it's like, all right, all 11 movies ranked 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, So I think having it restricted like this, it's like, yeah, maybe I don't like Rogue One the same way I like, Return of the Jedi, but I think quality-wise, they're about that area. So.
Yeah. No, you're right, and I'm glad that we did it. I'm just trying to figure out a way to get in. Now this is pod racing.
Maybe if we talk about the Disney Plus shows, you'll have your pod racing there, Rob.
My piracy, you bet. Funny guy.
No,
He goes,
no,
it's a good book. You
no.
know what? It was a great novelization. The novelization of Star Wars was fantastic. And yes, I own that and read it and read it and read it over and over and over. Funny guy Timmy, you can actually watch A New Hope by itself, but can't with others. Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, it was the first one.
We're gonna have to go back to that later, maybe, or in another show. I want to dive deeper into that, but
Yeah, get him on the show next. What the hell?
yeah, the Sarlacc pit. Oh, you know what? Timmy's like an A+ guest. He's awesome. Okay, Sarlacc pit. Yes. What about the Sarlacc pit? Now there's your bottom tier.
The butthole in the sand.
The Sarlacc pit. That's brilliant. All right. You know what? This was a lot of fun, man.
Absolutely. I haven't done one of these since Batman, so it's fun to do it again.
Yeah. What? Tell us here. I gotta put your. I, of course, can be found at Rob Christensen on Twitter. And Cody, meanwhile, at Cody Brockopp.
That's me.
And again, folks, in the description, link to his channel. Unless you're already watching on his channel, and then, you know what? Find my channel at just Rob Christensen. It's just my name. So we'll throw that on for the folks that might be watching from Cody's channel or see it later. Yeah, what are you looking forward to? What do you got coming up, dude?
Quite a few things actually. I'm still gonna do my review of Top Gun Maverick either tomorrow or Saturday, so look forward to that. Let's see, and of course, the two biggest movies coming out in the next few weeks are Jurassic World Dominion and Lightyear. Lightyear's probably my most anticipated movie of the summer, just putting that out there. So I've got some videos surrounding that, including a new merch hunting video for Lightyear, where similar to the one I did for Batman and Doctor Strange, just going out hunting for toys and crap.
Which is cool.
Yeah. And one quick preview I'll give off here. I don't want to go into too much detail, but going deeper into this Buzz Lightyear stuff, going to be talking about the original Buzz Lightyear Star Command movie, as well as the PlayStation 1 game, which I just played it, and I'm a little disappointed, not going to lie. So yeah, all kinds of Lightyear and Jurassic World content coming your way, so look out for that.
All right. For ourselves, of course, Jim and I, we were going to do what is it called again? Riders of Justice.
With Mads Mikkelsen, right?
Yeah, but given the recent tragedy in Uvalde, in Texas, Jim and I felt maybe not doing a movie with a bunch of guns. You know what? So we're actually going to do, and now for the effing life of me, I can't remember what it's called, but we are changing it up a bit for Sunday, and maybe we'll have a bit of a conversation about how we look at guns in films and how we approach that. That is not to say that we will never watch a movie with guns again. You know what? We're just spent a whole evening talking about Star Wars, and there's a lot of pew, pew, pew. We just thought that film a little more grounded in reality, and our current reality is a little fucking awful.
Apollo 10.5.
Thank you. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, Jim just messaged both of us in the group chat, so.
Oh, thank you very much, Jim. Really, is that on the, it is. Oh.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
Mr.
you, Jim. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Okay, I got to tune out, but this has been impeccably high quality podcast / stream content. Genuinely a treat. Appreciate it, y'all. Thank you very much, Mr. Saxokeet.
Thanks for
And
checking it out.
thank you very much, Jim, for pointing that out to me. Yes, Apollo 10 and a half, cartoon, little kid, no guns. All right, we funny guy Timmy, thank you very much for popping in. Ahmed Jelly Duck 100, good seeing you here. And let's shout out to Mr. Or a shout out to KTube Reacts. Thanks for popping by. Really enjoyed you chiming in there. That's very, very, very cool. So anyway, yeah, I think we're about done, eh, man?
I believe so. There's no more Star Wars to discuss.
There's no more Star Wars to discuss. Stick around. Let's hang out from the green room for a bit. But
Oh, for
to
sure.
everyone else, I guess we're saying bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.